In today's project, I'll be showing you how you can make a small pillow using hand knitting technique. So we don't need any hooks or needles for this, just our fingers. Okay? You will need a chunky yarn. Mine is not super chunky. This one is about the size of my, slightly smaller than the size of my pinky. But this is what I have at home, and this is what I'll be using to demo this technique for you. So to start, you're going to get the tail end of the ball of yarn. So this is the part that's attached to the ball of yarn, and this is the tail end. Okay? So you're gonna get about 20 to 25 centimeters in length here. Okay, and mark this with your right hand. So you're gonna have a tail about that length. Okay. Now, from here you're going to make a slip knot. To do this, you're going to grab hold of some yarn on the right side with your right hand like this, and then just bring it over to your left hand like that. So you're making a loop like this, like a circle. Okay. Right. So again, grab some yarn with your right hand, bring it over to meet your left hand. Okay. Hold on to where it meets. Okay. And then you're going to place your thumb and your index fingers like this. Okay. So right now I'm pinching that so that it doesn't come loose. And then you're going to grab hold of the yarn like that and pull the loop through. To tighten the knot, okay, there, you're going to pull on it like that. Okay. So let's do that one more time. Okay. So I have the yarn like this. Right hand meets left hand. Make a circle like that. Okay. And then I'm going to put my thumb and my index through. Grab hold of the yarn, pull the loop through, and then I'm going to tighten the knot like that. Okay. Now, if this loop looks too big, which it is right now, then you're going to pull onto the right side, okay, to make the loop smaller. Okay. And right now, let's see, I would make it about, that I'll be able to pass my index and my thumb through like this. So that's the size that I'm aiming for. Okay. So with my thumb and my index through the loop like this, I'm going to be making chain stitches, foundation chain, also as it's also known. Okay. So I'm going to grab hold of the yarn, and like same thing like what we did with the slip knot, we're just going to pull a loop through. Okay. See that? And then I'm going to measure it again with my index and my thumb to make sure that it's similar in size. Okay. And I'm going to grab hold of the yarn and pull a loop through. Same thing. So what happens if your loop here is too big? Let's say you made a loop that's this big, okay, and you want it to be the size of your thumb and your index. So you're just going to pull onto this loop here, on this yarn here, on the right side, to tighten it. Because we do want our stitches to be even. So just going to make 12 loops or 12 chain stitches. If you crochet, this looks very similar, except we're just doing it with our hands and not with a hook. Okay, now to count how many loops you've already made, okay, you don't count the one that is the very last one that has a circle like this. Okay, this is not counted, but you count the ones here. Okay, so all these bumps, they represent a stitch. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 chains right now, and I need to make 5 more. Let's count this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now that I have 12 chain on this here, I'm gonna place my work down like this. Okay, and I'm gonna turn my work to stand vertical like this, and then I'm going to bring my tail here and put it through the loop at the end. And I'm going to pull onto this tail until I get to where the slip knot is. So this makes a circle like that, as you can see. All right, so now we're going to make the stitches to grow our small pillow. Okay, to start knitting our first round, right, so this is our working yarn, this is the tail. So we look at it like this, we have 12 bumps here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the knot, so that's not counted. Okay, so those 12 bumps, they represent the 12 chain stitches that we just did. Right, now I'm going to pull on this quite tightly, and then okay, I'm going to turn my work like this so that it's easier for you to see. So you see this first bump, okay, I'm going to put my finger through, and then I'm going to push my yarn through that loop like that. And then I'm going to place my finger like this so that it doesn't come undone when I work on the next bump. Okay, so without that finger in place, see what happens if I were to work on this next stitch here. Okay, and I'm going to bring this in like that. Chances are I might accidentally pull that through and I lose that loop. So we don't want that to happen. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start again from the start. This is the first bump. Okay, put my finger through, catch the yarn, pull up a loop. So that loop, I'm going to put my index finger through. Now this is the tricky part here. Now this is what will make sure that you won't have as many gaps in your work, is that this part here is snugged. Like when I grab onto the yarn, okay, that I want that to be tight. Right, like that. And then I'm going to move my index finger from the previous chain, from the previous loop, and I'm going to put this through like that. Make sure that they are similar in size. Okay. So next is this bump here. Okay. So again, I'm going to make sure that this is tight before I pull up my loop into the next chain like that. Okay, I'm going to place my finger, put that through. Like that. Again, making sure that this is tight. Right. Bring up the loop like that. So you can bring out a big loop like that, but when you transfer your finger into the next loop that you're working on, make sure to tighten that first. Make sure that it's nice and snug. Okay. Here. So again, making sure that's nice and snug. Pull up a loop, place my finger, tighten it like that. Tighten that before I push into the next loop. tighten it first. Okay. So that's the next one. So right now, this is what it's looking like. If I was to look at it from a flat point of view, I'll have all these loops coming out like that. So right now I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So another 5 more to go. Placing my finger through. Make sure that's nice and snug. And then pulling it up. Working that next loop. Oops, almost made a mistake there. Pull up this loop first. Pushing that finger through. So I'm almost reaching the end of my circle because I'm seeing my tail yarn here. Again. Okay. So if we look from this point of view, okay, ignoring the tail yarn here, we should have 12 loops. Okay. So counting after the tail yarn is the first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means our first round is complete, and we're going to repeat that all around for all the stitches. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to move this tail away. So I'm putting it through the circle like that. Okay. Now make sure before you start your next row to put your finger through so that you don't lose this loop. And then when you want to move into the next loop here, that you make sure that this is nice and tight. Okay. So you can use your pinky or maybe a third finger. Right. Here I'm just pushing that through, and as I'm pushing through, okay, this part here I want to make sure that it is nice and tight. So here I'm pulling that, and then I'm bringing up my loop, and then I place my finger in. I'm going to resize that. Okay. Bring up the next loop here. Okay. Push the yarn through. Make sure that it's nice and snug in between the stitches before I pull this one up. Pull my finger through, tighten that loop. Okay. And I'm going to keep repeating this all around. So I'm making that nice and snug before moving my finger to the next loop. Tighten that. Pull through. Pull out that loop first, and then moving that finger to resize it like that. Okay. Pull this one through. And you're just going to keep doing this same step, and I'll meet you after a few rows. Okay. Okay, so I've already grown my rows a little bit, and as you can see, the stitches are starting to form. So I just wanted to give you a different point of view of how it looks if I'm doing my work like this way. Okay, so I'm putting my finger into this loop because this is where I last worked my latest stitch. So again, I'm holding that tight, and you see this loop next to it. I'm going to bring these two together like that, and then I'm going to pull onto this tight before I push this one through that loop. Okay. So making sure that this part is tight. Okay. If this is loose, if there's a gap in between this, okay, let's say I didn't do this properly, right? If I was just to do it like that, you can already see that that's a big gap. So when you start to fill this in, it will look really loose. So it's important that, okay, you pull onto this tightly. These two loops are quite close together, okay, and you push that yarn through when you pull out that loop, and give it another tug to make sure that that's tight. Okay? You can pull this as big as you want, because when you transfer your finger into the next loop, you can always tighten it back down to the size of your finger. Okay? Right. I'm using an index finger here because it's suitable for this size of yarn. The chunkier your yarn, you may need to increase the number of fingers in between your loops. Okay, so to demonstrate that again, this is nice and snug. I'm going to get onto that next loop here. This is this one. Okay, I'm going to bring that too close. Right, I'm going to pull that loop through, and then I'm going to pull onto that. See, that's pulling onto my left side here. Okay, so I know that's nice and snug. And then I move my finger, pull onto that to tighten it. Okay, bring up this loop close enough, right? So make sure that there's no loop there, there's no hole there, sorry. And I'm going to push that yarn through, pull it out, okay? And I'm going to give that a nice tug before removing my finger and then replacing that there. Okay, let's say I've knitted about this much. This is about, let me see, if you want to know exactly how many rows I've done, we can count the stitches by identifying the number of V's that we have here. Okay, so this is the top, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I've knitted about 25 rows. It doesn't matter how many rows you've done. You can make it as small as this or even longer than what I have right now. It's up to you. Okay. So this part here is the top part of the work. As you can see, I still have those loops that I've not finished making. Okay, and this is the bottom part. So we still have this yarn tail to work with, right? Here. Now what we're going to do is that we are going to loop this tail from inside to outside, through each of these bumps, these loops. So you should have 12 here. Okay. Let's see. So this one came out from here, so I'm not going to work this one. I'm going to work the next one. Right. Put this through. I'm going to just push it through like that. Okay. I'm going to bring it in to out. Always working in to out of every loop. If you're ever confused as to which loop you're working on, just give that a nice tug, and you know that this one has been worked, so you need to go to the next one. Okay. Inside out. That. And then I'm back in the beginning. Okay. Because once I give this a nice pull, see, it closes the bottom. Now before I completely shut this, maybe I can completely shut this. Let me see. Oh. So you know I've not worked, I think 2 loops here. You can always go through like that and like that if you don't like the bumps coming out like that. So again, I'm going to pull it. Now you don't see it anymore. Now what do I do with this yarn tail? I'm just going to shove it into that. Okay. Let's see if I can pull it through the other side. And there. Now you can't see it. Okay. So the bottom part we have closed. Right. Then I'm going to take a bit of stuffing, and I'm going to add that into my pillow. Push it all the way through. Now be careful not to yank any the yarn here, because this is still not worked yet. This can come undone if you're not careful. All right, so I'm just going to push this in. So you can fill as much or as little as you want. As you can see, like there are gaps that can be seen with more filling that I fill in. This is because my finger is bigger than the size of this yarn. See, my index finger, this is what I use to measure the stitch. So it's bigger than this yarn. That's why I can see the gaps here. But like I said earlier on in my video, is that I'm just showing you the technique, and you can easily replicate this with a chunkier yarn in which like these gaps, a chunkier yarn meaning that yarn is much bigger than your finger. Okay, then you won't be seeing these gaps. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm not going to fill this like too crazy much. Just a little bit here. And then what's more important is that I'm going to show you how you're going to close the opening. Okay, so I filled it up to about there. Now I'm going to cut about this length. You don't need a lot to cover to close the gap, but this is comfortably long enough. So just now we worked this way. With the bottom part we work this way, and we're working insides to out. Now for this one, the one at the top here, we're going to go this way, okay, to the left, anti-clockwise, and we're going to go from outside to inside. Okay, so this yarn belong to this loop, so I'm not going to start from this one, but I'm going to start with the next one. Okay, so I'm going to start from outside going to inside, and I'm going to be very careful not to pull on this. Now if you're worried that you're going to pull on this, you can put something else. Let me just put this one here. Okay. This is so that you know not to accidentally pull on that and it comes undone. Or you can put a stitch marker here. So I'm just putting that there so that in case I accidentally pull on this loop too much, that it'll come undone. Okay. So that one's done. I'm going to work the next one. Again, outside to inside, going anti-clockwise. I'm going to work every loop here. Okay, you see this one came undone. This is a good example of what to do when this happens. Don't panic. Instead, just push that through like that. Okay, so if that ever happens to you, just do what I did just now. Like if one of this came like this and oh, that looks odd. So this, you just push it through like that. Okay. So again, work the tail from outside to inside. Okay, now this is back to where I put the marker just now. I should have used a different color yarn so that it's more clearer for you, but see, this is the remaining of my yarn just now, my leftover. And this is the last one here, and then I'm going to pull this gently to close the top. Okay. There, that's nice and shut. And then just like what we did just now, you know, you can just shove this bit into any of the gaps or the holes that you can find. This is easier, and just push it through. You can cut it, but I prefer not to. And there you have it.